Why did they call black guitar RGB? Hi, my name is Michał and welcome to the Ibby Register. Follow me on that journey to document every Ibanez guitar ever made. If you're new here, do not hesitate to subscribe to don't miss any bit of that journey. And today we're trying something new. Today, instead of documenting some very specific model that I grabbed and maybe even disassemble, look into it, we're just gonna look at the Ibanez news from summer. I'm gonna pick three I found very interesting. So let's start something straight out of from Japan, and unfortunately right now only for the Japanese market. Ibanez unveiled a new model of Talman in three colors. And Talman is not your typical Ibanez guitar. It's not a super strat, it doesn't have a super thin neck. It's more of this like a quirky offset Jazzmaster type guitar. So they don't usually get a lot of press. Well, what's interesting here, they're introduced as a part of a J line. It's not J custom, it's not prestige, but it's made in Japan. So over the last around decade, it's kind of got standardized that guitars made by Ibanez in Japan will be prestige and guitars made out Japan is not prestige. It wasn't always like that. I made a video about Korean prestiges, so feel free to check that out. But in recent years it was like that. Maybe until the Genesis came up in last 2 years. There were also reissues of the 80s Super Strat. They were made in Japan, but they were not prestige level either. What it means in practice is they didn't get a case, they didn't have like the so-called prestige fret end treatment, but it was still very well done guitars and they were very well received, especially because they were priced just under $1,000. So, you know, it's a good price spot for a made in Japan guitars. The prestige models usually are much more expensive. So the J-line seems like a similar concept. Okay, so let's look at the specs. I'm on the Japanese website of Ibanez, so I'm gonna hit Google Translate. And you can see straight away those are kind of like Stratocaster type Talmans, because historically they had most commonly two configuration. They had like 3 single coils like Stratocaster, or they had like a configuration like Telecaster with this weird bridge with slanted pickup and the neck pickup. There are a few others also configurations in the 90s. But I'm not that familiar with the Talman line to maybe go into details right now. It would be fun to grab one at some point and document, and then we could get into the more in-depth history of the Talman series. So yeah, there's also like explanation what is J-line, made in Japan, standard with originality and certainty. So we have 3 colors. There's black with black pickguard, white with the kind of tortoise red pickguard, and blue with white. The white is apparently not white, it's more like ivory. So yeah, specification. It's a Talman Classic Plus maple neck with alder body and catalogs fretboard. It's a new wood for me for fretboard, but I know some PRS guitar use catalogs also for the fretboard in the past. And just looking into some researching it on the internet, seems like it's relatively hard and oily and have a nice color. So probably just guitar companies are trying to find some more sustainable replacements for rosewood and ebony. It's a bone nut out of the cow bone. Has some new pickups, TM line, so I guess Talman J line. Ibanez branded. It has ITL Pro tremolo bridge, which is synchronized tremolo, Fender style tremolo, so not a Floyd Rose type. And it's been used also on the Prestige Talmans in previous years. Chrome color, 10 to 46 strings gauge, and there is soft case included. So, you know, another thing, like with the Prestige, we usually get a hard case, but this is the similar situation of the Genesis. They didn't get the hard case. That's probably another reason how they managed to cut on the price. 120,000 yen, which probably translates to like $1,200 euros probably on the market. Yeah, it's a bit more expensive than the Genesis series were, but still cheaper than the usually what Prestige gathers. So the Genesis series that became so popular 2 years ago in 2018, that was not first incarnation of the Genesis series, because the first Genesis series came up for the Japanese market in 2013. This is the Genesis we know, RG-550, and there are a few others like 570 I think and 521. But that's like original Genesis from the Japanese websites from the 2013. They were they had like violet chamois color, and but they were generally the same idea. There's also another model like 670. What happens on the Japanese domestic market quite often translates sometime later, if it's successful, to what happened in more general markets. You know, this could be something that will become more of a thing, like a J line being another line coming from Japan, but maybe slightly more affordable. Do you think it's a good news? Do you think it would be good to have a more affordable but still Japanese guitar that are not prestige? Let me know in the comment. I think that's an interesting move. Also in August and September, Ibanez introduced a bunch of other models, and we're not gonna talk about them all, but there's one I want to talk is a small PGM M11 guitar, which is those micro series Paul Gilbert models. They have like 22-inch scale or something like that. And they were produced for quite a long time. There's PGM MM31 that was basically a copy of PGM 301, his white fixed bridge guitar with those black F holes painted on. Then there was another model with like metallic green color, PGM MM21. And now Ibanez introduced third color, PGM MM11, that's in this classic combination of like purple and pink, or purple, it's called jewel blue, so it's more like blue that falls a bit into purplish, with this pink F-hole painted on that was on his first production model, PGM 100, and then reintroduced 10 years later. So now let's quick look at this one. Yeah, this color combination I think is fantastic. It's double humbuckers, doesn't have the middle single coil like the original, but there just wouldn't be a place for that. They're super fun to play. If you never had a chance to play, just try it, because suddenly you can do like 8-fret stretches with your arm, with your hand, and so on. So one more note, that the neck on those is actually thicker than the original PGM, and it's quite significantly thicker, because those were like 17 to 20 millimeters. So even though it's scaled down, the neck actually is thicker. Okay, so the third release I wanted to talk about is RGB basses, and those are RG-shaped basses, RGB. Although some people were making funny comments that because the colors are mostly like black, like why did they call black guitar RGB? What's interesting about it, it's not the first time that Ibanez did this concept, because between 88 and 90, Ibanez produced something called RD bass series, and they were basically the same shape. They didn't have AA and J neck joint, but they were like very similar shape, you know, the pointy headstock, the pointy horns like RGB, and we also have a 5-string version, which is this never happened in the 80s, but now I guess that 5 and even 6-string basses are more popular. Ibanez decided to do it. The location of the 5th machine head is a bit quirky. I don't know, it looks kind of funny, but I guess I don't know, it wouldn't work 5 in the row on that headstock probably. So the 305, the 5-string version has only one color. The 300 has 2 colors. It's a black flat and the kind of like a soda blue flat. Yeah, it's maple neck, poplar body this time, so not basswood like in the 80s. Jatoba fretboard, which is like increasingly more and more commonly replacing rosewood on Indonesian models. They're made in Indonesia. Yeah, 22 medium frets, kind of like a standard bass fixed bridge. Those are passive pickups, but they have some sort of like a preamp I'm definitely gonna try them. I was hunting for the RD bass for quite some time, and they're not easy to find, especially in Europe. But those are probably gonna be much easier to get, so I'm looking forward to play with this. So yeah, both RD bases and RGB bases I find interesting. I didn't make, as I said, I didn't find any RD bases in the past, so I haven't made any RD videos yet. But if you're interested in that part of Ibanez history and they were trying a lot of things and a lot of today's model were born, check out my video about RG410 and Ibanez in the 86-87 era. Before we say goodbye, let me know if that was interesting type of video for you. Should I do more of those looking at the Ibanez news? Thank you for watching and see you in another chapter of documenting every Ibanez ever made. Bye!